Okay, I'm here with Chris Poland and his band Ohm at the, what's the name of this venue?
Masonic Lodge.
The Masonic Lodge in Mill Valley, California. Beautiful Mill Valley. How's it going, Chris?
Great.
Good, good. I want to take a look at this rack that you've got here. We've got a really cool collection of gear.
Let's start down here.
Okay, let's start down at the bottom. You tell me what's going on.
This is a Bogner Fish. It's a later one of the 200 or 250. It's just below 200. I'm not sure what the number is, but that's the mainstay. I've always kept that or gone back to it. And that's a 4-channel. It has the brown channel is very Eddie Van Halen meets Alan Holdsworth, and then the Strato channel actually makes a humbucking guitar kind of sound like a Strat, which is awesome. At least for me, that's what works. The Crunch channel is kind of like a Fender channel, and some people say it's an old Plexi Marshall sound, but to me it's more Fenderish. And then this is like a clean Fender twin sound. And they all work really well, and there's no latency, and that's what I like about it.
So all of your sounds, from clean to super dirty lead sounds, are coming from the Bogner?
From just the Bogner, yeah.
Okay, and then you switch it, does it switch via MIDI?
Yeah, via MIDI through Bob Bradshaw's 4x4s
Okay.
and his RS-10.
Okay, great. We'll get to those in a second. Let's keep moving up.
All right, this is an IPS pitch shifter. I just got this at a music store last week for like $85.
Beautiful.
It's a great harmonizer. I would compare it to an Eventide harmonizer without, it only does one thing though. But it tracks well, and the harmonies are very, articulate. So it sounds really good, and for $85, you can't beat it. So then I have a bunch of these Yamaha D1500s. This is a mono one, which I use like an Echoplex, where I have the dry signal and the wet signal at one time, and I use that as just like an Echoplex. I like that a lot. And then I use an SRV 2000 for my reverbs.
Okay, and now just touching on the Yamaha briefly, that was the piece of gear that you cited in your last Guitar Player interview as being one of the most crucial parts of your rig.
A lot of times it is, because a lot of the sound effects and a lot of the split stereo stuff I do that's like 50 millisecond split sounds. Once you take the dry signal out of one of these, then you can have like 0 delay here, which is basically a dry sound. And then this side, you can put 50, 60 millisecond delay on it, and it gives you a huge stereo image. And then, of course, you can do the sine wave feedback on it, which makes all kinds of just crazy noises, which I use on a song called Id. So I really love those. They're great for choruses, too. I can get a chorus sound out of 2 of these. It's as good as a TC 1210. So anyway, then I'm using this as my main compressor for just clean compressed guitar sounds.
And that is a TC unit?
Yeah, it's a TC unit. I mean, the reason I like it is because it has a little bit of EQ in it, so I can keep the top end a little bit uncompressed, but get the mids and the bass so they don't go out of control.
Okay.
Then, of course, this is a 4x4, Bob Brad Custom Audio Electronics, which is just a 4-loop and 4 basically on-off switches. Then we have another. These two Yamahas are basically left-right. And they're basically a stereo, sound effects or chorus, or like I said, this 50 millisecond split kind of Ozzy Osbourne vocal sound.
And those are programmable, and you're switching those
Via MIDI.
via MIDI as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and so for a certain tune, you may have a completely different patch.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, and the thing that's great about these, and in my experience, I've never seen any other unit do it. They switch in real time, and there's no latency. The thing doesn't have to think about it. I actually think there's 16 delays that are built in each one, and they're all just waiting for you to go to the next delay, and they're on instantly. So it's really amazing, especially for how old they are. And then this is a really great compressor. It's a Champ. I think it's I can't remember who makes it, but I use it for a swell sound. Instead of using a volume pedal, I set the compressor up with it has a dynamic expander. And it basically works like a volume pedal. And then I just use the gate over here for a ring modulator pedal I have in the back. A little compression, but this is a really great sounding unit. You can get them for $50 at any pawn shop or used store. And then I have 2 MPX1s that I use for delays and swell kind of reverby sounds. You have one that comes in if the other one's being used on a section, where a part's going into another section. I want to have like a hangover delay. Mm-hmm. that's why I'll have two of them. The delay's going da 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 da, and I'm already at the other part. So in a three-piece band, it kind of works out really good for you that way. It fills things up. Then I have another 4x4 because I use actually all the channels. So I have 16 loops that I'm using to 8 loops and 8 on-off switches. And it works out great. I mean, there's no latency. The tones are really pure, and it sounds good. This is a dual stereo mixer. It's the signal is very unaffected. I mean, it doesn't take the guitar sound and do any amp sound to it. It doesn't really change the tone at all. And it really gives you a great stereo image, and it's worth every penny, and it's worth waiting a year to get one. And then, of course, the old everybody's got one of these. It's a great unit. I can't say enough about it.
And that's the TC-1210 spatial expander and chorus.
Yeah, you can't beat that thing, and you can do 1,000 things with it. That you can mix records with it. And this is great. This it's a stereo tap delay, an ADA. My friend Ralph Patlin gave me this. He mixed the latest Ohm record, and he had an extra one, and he didn't like it because it didn't have XLR inputs. And he was actually, he's totally into Alan Holdsworth, and he was telling me that Holdsworth uses this, for some application. And I actually plugged it in, and I started playing through it, and I think Holdsworth may like it because there's a certain kind of compression that it has inside that's kind of built into the infrastructure of it that really makes doing a solo, a lot more fun. So, and I do a little split, not a lot, maybe 40 milliseconds or something, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a bigger stereo image.
You don't see too many of those units around these days.
No, you don't. And matter of fact, I started to look on eBay just to see if I could find one with XLRs to give back to them, and I can't find them. So, and then another, like I said before, another MPX1, and one of these ToneWorks tuners, and then the left-right Yamaha D1500. And in this, I was using a Marshall power amp for a little while in the studio, especially when we recorded, because the microphones could kind of hear, the difference between the tube and the solid state sound. But in a live situation, I like this amp better because it's just more overall. For all my sounds, it kind of comes in and works better for me. And it's very guitar, it just has a great guitar sound. It kind of sounds like a Marshall, like with the L34s, just kind of flat out. It has a lot of that kind of tone to it.
And you're seeing more MOSFET technology these days, too, and people are remembering that it actually works really well for guitar.
It does, because it mimics, the way a valve does the push-pull deal. So, and man, they're really reliable. I'll knock on wood right now.